Why we stopped talking to strangers. A man collapses on a crowded subway platform. Hundreds of people are there. Phones out, eyes forward, earbuds in. For a few seconds, nobody moves. Not because they're evil, not because they don't care, but because somewhere along the way, we forgot how to see each other. 100 years ago, strangers talked on trains, on sidewalks, in grocery stores, in parks. People met best friends by accident, fell in love by coincidence. Entire communities were built from random conversations. Now, most people can go days without speaking to someone they don't already know. And the strangest part is, almost nobody noticed when it happened.
There was a time when silence in public felt strange. Now, silence feels normal. Walk into any elevator today and watch what happens. Eyes drop instantly. Phones come out like shields. People stand inches apart while pretending nobody else exists. And yet, if you ask most people whether they feel lonely, the answer is almost always yes. That contradiction sits quietly at the center of modern life. We are more connected than any generation in human history, but somehow, talking to another human being has started to feel uncomfortable, even dangerous. And it didn't happen overnight. At first, the change was subtle. Small things disappeared first. Cashiers stopped chatting. Neighbors stopped knocking on doors. Kids stopped wandering through neighborhoods, asking if friends could come outside. Then came headphones. Then algorithms. Then remote work. Then food delivery apps, where you don't even have to look another person in the eye.
Every year, human interaction became slightly more optional, slightly more avoidable, until eventually millions of people built entire lives where strangers simply disappeared. But here's what makes this story unsettling. Humans were never designed for that. For most of history, strangers weren't interruptions. They were survival. Imagine a small village hundreds of years ago. You wake up, walk outside, and immediately interact with people. Farmers, merchants, travelers, children running through crowded streets. Human life was built on constant accidental connection. You didn't schedule social interaction. It just happened. Naturally, repeatedly, every day. And those tiny moments mattered more than we realize. A conversation with a stranger at a market could lead to opportunity, friendship, marriage, protection, information, work. Even emotionally, strangers gave people something modern life quietly removes: a sense of belonging to a living world. Now, compare that to today. You can wake up, work from home, order food through an app, stream entertainment all night, and go to sleep without a single unpredictable human interaction. Convenient? Absolutely. But the human brain pays a price for convenience no one talks about. Because isolation doesn't always feel like isolation at first. Sometimes it feels like peace. Until one day, it doesn't. And this is where things take a darker turn. Researchers have found that loneliness affects the body in ways disturbingly similar to physical danger. Stress levels rise, anxiety increases, sleep worsens. Even basic social interaction starts feeling harder over time. The less we talk to strangers, the more unnatural it feels to do it, which creates a cycle, a dangerous one. People avoid interaction because they feel anxious, but avoiding interaction increases the anxiety. So they isolate even more. And eventually, something strange happens. Other people stop feeling human. Not literally, but psychologically. A stranger becomes an obstacle, traffic, background noise, a possible threat. Look around in public now. People move around each other with the emotional energy of ghosts. Fast, closed off, guarded. Especially in big cities. And honestly, some of that fear is understandable. The modern world trained people to be cautious. News cycles bombard us with danger. Social media amplifies outrage.
Parents teach children not to trust strangers. Every unknown person becomes a potential risk before they become a person. But fear alone doesn't explain everything, because deep down, most people still crave connection desperately. You can see it everywhere. Why do people overshare with Uber drivers? Why do strangers confess personal things online at 2 a.m? Why do millions watch long podcasts where people simply talk? Because beneath the anxiety, humans are starving for unscripted connection. Not curated profiles, not filtered selfies, not content. Real interaction. Even tiny moments. A random compliment. A short conversation in line at a coffee shop. A laugh with someone you'll never meet again. Those moments used to happen constantly. Now, they feel almost revolutionary. And younger generations are feeling this shift especially hard. Many people growing up today have spent more time communicating through screens than face-to-face conversation. Think about that for a second. An entire generation learning social interaction through edited text bubbles and disappearing messages. No awkward pauses. No reading body language. No accidental moments.
Everything controlled. Everything curated. And while technology made communication faster, it also removed friction. The problem is, friction is where human bonding often happens. The awkward laugh, the nervous introduction, the pause before someone opens up. Those moments are uncomfortable, but they're also deeply human. Without them, relationships can start feeling strangely empty. This is why so many people today report having hundreds of online connections, while simultaneously feeling emotionally alone. And the scariest part? We're adapting to it. Humans can normalize almost anything, even loneliness, especially loneliness. People joke about never leaving the house anymore, about avoiding phone calls, about feeling exhausted by basic interaction. But beneath the humor is something more serious. A quiet social collapse happening in slow motion. Not dramatic enough to make headlines, but powerful enough to reshape society. Because when strangers stop talking, trust erodes. Communities weaken. Empathy shrinks.
And people begin retreating into smaller and smaller worlds. That's part of why public anger feels hotter now, why patience feels thinner, why everyone seems slightly more disconnected from everyone else. It's difficult to care about people you never meaningfully interact with. And this is where the story becomes personal. Think about the last meaningful interaction you had with a stranger. Not transactional, not ordering food, not replying to a work email. An actual human moment. For a lot of people, it takes surprisingly long to remember one. That realization hits harder than most expect, because deep down, people miss each other, even if they don't fully realize it. There's a famous experiment where researchers asked commuters to start conversations with strangers on trains. Almost everyone predicted the interaction would be awkward. Most assumed both sides would hate it. But the opposite happened. People consistently reported feeling happier after talking to strangers. Not exhausted, not irritated, happier. And that's fascinating because it reveals something important. The fear usually exists before the interaction, not after it. The anticipation is worse than reality.
But modern life keeps feeding that anticipation. Keep your guard up. Stay in your lane. Mind your business. And slowly, people become emotionally invisible to each other. Until something breaks the pattern. Sometimes it happens during emergencies. A blackout. A storm. A delayed flight. Suddenly, strangers start talking again. And something almost magical happens. People remember they're human. During disasters, psychologists often observe communities becoming temporarily warmer and more cooperative. Strangers help strangers. Conversations happen naturally. Why? Because shared vulnerability strips away the illusion of separation. For a brief moment, people stop performing independence. And maybe that's the hidden tragedy of modern life. Everyone is trying to appear self-sufficient, busy, fine, untouchable. Meanwhile, millions are quietly hoping someone talks to them first. Not in a creepy way, not forced, just human. A smile, a joke, a moment of recognition, proof that they still exist inside a shared world. And ironically, many people are waiting for permission that never comes, because everyone else is waiting too. The truth is, society didn't suddenly lose the ability to connect. It lost the habit. Habits can return.
But only if someone breaks the pattern first. And usually, the moment is smaller than people imagine. A conversation in a grocery store line, a compliment to a stranger, asking someone how their day is, and actually listening. Tiny moments. But tiny moments are how human trust has always been built. Not through viral posts, not through algorithms, through repetition, eye contact, familiarity, presence. That's how communities used to form. And maybe that's why certain moments feel so powerful now. When a stranger shows unexpected kindness today, people remember it for weeks, sometimes years, because it feels rare. But maybe it was never supposed to be rare. Maybe we just drifted too far from each other without noticing. And maybe the reason this topic hits so deeply is because almost everyone watching this has felt it. That strange emptiness in crowded places. The feeling of being surrounded by people, while somehow feeling alone inside all of it. modern life became incredibly efficient. But humans were never built to survive on efficiency alone.
We need interruption, randomness, conversation, connection. We need reminders that the world is still alive around us. Otherwise, life slowly becomes a private experience, shared beside strangers, instead of with them. And maybe the biggest irony of all is that most people are far less alone than they think. They're just trapped inside invisible walls everyone else is trapped inside too. The walls can break. Sometimes all it takes is one person willing to say something first. One moment of courage. One tiny interaction. One stranger becoming real again. Because the truth is, nobody stopped needing each other. We just stopped talking long enough to remember it.